Hi. Hold on. Just going to share. Chill muna. Just going to share this. So while we're waiting for me to share, why don't you share as well? Ah, there you go. Hi, magandang hapon. Ako po si Trixie Cruz-Angeles. Could you tell me if I have audio para hindi naman tayo mukhang ano dito? And hi, magandang hapon. Hi everybody. Uy, mukhang everybody feels good on this lazy Sunday. Hi. Okay, I don't really have a topic today, so I decided to have a look dun sa mga komento kanina dun sa uh, post natin about yung chika session today. Okay, maybe we can... Alright, let's talk about Titong Mendoza. There's a question. Who is Estelito Mendoza? Well, he was the Solicitor General during Ferdinand Marcos's time, and at least when we were law students, is considered one of the brightest lawyers this country has ever produced. So, but he is rather old. Um, I think he's a little younger than Juan Ponce Enrile, but I understand that he's still practicing. So, um, Estevito Mendoza came back into the limelight supposedly because he's going to be one of the lawyers of PPM. Now, we have to take this into consideration um, kasi I understand that the team of PPM filed a motion for extension of time to file an answer to the complaint filed by Teddy and company. And then later on, there was also a motion for intervention filed by attorney Howard Calleja. Now, the motion for extension of time, yung pag extend ng period para makasagot kasi binigyan lang ng 5 days yung mga abogado ni BBM, hindi po unusual yan. Normal yan kasi sanay kami, usually pag nasa litigation ka, binibigyan ka ng 10 to 15 days para sumagot. So, hindi unusual yun. I understand na si former Solicitor General Titong Mendoza volunteered his services to BBM for this case on his alleged disqualification or alleged cancellation or the cancellation of his certificate of candidacy. Ngayon may development dito. More information has come in now. Yung unang-una, hindi po filed out of time yung reklamo. Kasi kung filed out of time na yung reklamo, they outright i-dismiss yan or hindi yan tatanggapin ng COMELEC. According to Attorney Teddy ako, sandali, natawa ako. sorry, seryoso itong si Sheila, oh. Ma'am, I have a serious question. Number po ni Santo Marcos. Grabe kayo. Ang aga-aga. sorry. Uy, seryoso tayo. Lokong to. Teka muna, pasalamat nga muna ako kay Nathaniel Quintos. Kanina pa siya nasa screen. Happy Sunday, sabi ni LB Beloculo from the Netherlands. Okay. Grabe kayo. Ang seryoso ng usapan. Okay. Game na. Totoo na to. Okay. Hindi, like I said, hindi unusual yung motion for extension of time kasi 5 days nga lang ang binigay. Ngayon, pumasok pa si former Solicitor General Titong Mendoza to assist the lawyers of or to be the lead counsel of BBM's legal team para sagutin po yung reklamo. Okay. Ngayon, may development. So I checked Normally kasi kung filed out of time ang isang reklamo, outright hindi na po yan tatanggapin ng COMELEC. But apparently on the last day daw yung filing ni na Attorney Teddy Te. So photo finish pa daw sila. So I'll take it on their word na on time yung pag-file ng kanilang reklamo. Okay? Normally yan, ang reklamo can be filed 5 days after the last day of filing of certificate of candidacy. Okay? Yung so October 18 filing ng certificates of candidacy, ano bang October 8? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So Thursday, naka-file daw ng photo finish sina Attorney Teddy Te. So for now, we will take their word for it. Okay. Next. Ang final naman, there were other petitioners who joined. Pero dahil late na sila, ang filing is through a motion for intervention. Ito ay final ni Attorney Howard Calleja. Meron daw mga additional petitioners at meron pang iba daw na gustong sumali. So, dahil late na sila, sina Attorney Calleja po yung late. So, dahil hindi na sila pwedeng mag-file dahil out of time na nga, 5 days lang, magpa-file sila as intervenors doon sa kaso ni na Attorney Te. Doon sa ang intervenor po, makakapasok yan sa isang kaso kahit hindi sila partido. Ngayon, ang parties dito, COMELEC at saka si BBM. Tapos, no, COMELEC will be something like the judge, tapos si BBM, tapos yung mga nagre-reklamo. Ngayon, ang gagawin ng intervenors, papasok sila at sasabihin nila na sila din may karapatan na maaapektuhan by a win or loss of any of the parties. So, kailangan mapatunayan ng mga petitioners na kinakatawan ni Attorney Howard Calleja na meron silang karapatan na maaapektuhan ng outcome ng kaso para tanggapin yung kaso nila. Ngayon, yung kaso ni na Attorney Te is for the cancellation of the certificate of candidacy due to material misrepresentation. Supposedly, and I'm sure all of you know this by now, supposedly yung kaso is that BBM misrepresented or lied, quote-unquote, on his certificate of candidacy kasi ang claim niya ay wala naman siyang conviction of a crime involving moral turpitude. Na-discuss na natin yan. Yung ang failure to file income tax return is not a crime involving moral turpitude. Meron na pong pronouncement ang Korte Suprema dyan. Ngayon, ang pagpasok ni na Attorney Howard Calleja, meron silang nire-raise na panibagong issue. Ang issue na ito ay hindi pa rin po maaaring mali pa rin po at dapat i-cancel yung certificate of candidacy ni BBM due to material misrepresentation kasi under the National Internal Revenue Code, kapag may conviction ka of any violation of the code, ikaw ay perpetually disqualified from office kung you failed to file your tax return or evaded taxes at the time when you were a public official. Okay? Grabe, yung iba naman dito si Baste, number naman ni Baste hinihingi. Ay, sus Maria Josep. Okay. Sinong nagfa-flood, guys? Ano yung pangalan? Para matanggal natin. Okay, wag kayo mag-flood, guys. Kasi binabasa naman natin yung mga yung mga comments. Alright. So, sabi ni Attorney Howard Calleja, kahit na dati kasi hindi naman kini-question yung capacity ni BBM tumakbo for any public office, okay lang yon kasi sabi ng Supreme Court dati, maaari pa rin erase yung issue na yon. Halimbawa, dun sa kay Halosos, mayroon daw siya dating conviction in the 70s that was never raised before pero later on ni-raise siya to disqualify him at inalaw ng Korte Suprema yon. Alright. Ah, ang problema dun sa petition ni na Attorney Calleja is this. Kini-question nila isang final na decision ng Court of Appeals. Ang likot ng camera ko. Yung kini-question nila after so many years. I think the case was decided in early 2000 or 2001. So, hindi lang yon, gusto nilang i-reverse yung decision, well not i-reverse yung decision, gusto nilang baguhin yung decision para dagdagan yung penalty ni BBM or i-interpret yung decision as with perpetual disqualification kasi hindi naman daw kailangan isulat ng Court of Appeals yon sa decision dahil yun na nga, convicted naman siya. So natural consequence yon dahil nandun yon sa revised penal code. Ang problema ng kaso ni na Atty. Calleja on the BBM side is this. Number one, may Supreme Court decision sila saying that he is qualified noon to be an administrator kasi nga wala naman siyang conviction of a crime involving moral turpitude. So, in the absence of a pronouncement by the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court, sinasabi ni na Attorney Calleja, pwede silang mag-intervene dito sa kaso ng COMELEC. Now, ang worry ko dito is this. One of the arguments in favor of BBM is this. This is a criminal case. Ang sinasabi nila, habol, itong penalty na ito deemed written into the decision pero hindi na-i-impose. Dapat i-impose ngayon. It might call for an interpretation of the judgment or clarification of the judgment, in which case hindi dapat sa COMELEC yung file. Or they will argue it in the COMELEC in the hopes of taking it to the Supreme Court para Korte Suprema ang mag-i-interpret kung mag-a-apply ang NIRC dito kay BBM or not. So that's how things stand. Meron kasing ibang nagre-raise ng issue na kung bakit pumapasok si Attorney Titong Mendoza. Seryoso ba daw yung kaso? I think that Attorney Titong is partly, how do you call this? It's partly sentimentality because he was the lawyer for the Marcos government, meaning the Solicitor General, and was kumbaga the counsel of the government or representative of the government in cases before the higher courts. And from what I understand, dun sa mga pumasok sa Solicitor General, even to this day, he is looked upon as one of the best Solicitor Generals ever. With no offense naman to the later ones like Frank Chavez and of course, Solgen Calida. So yun po yung pagkaklaro lang natin dun sa kaso ni BBM. Am I worried about this? No. Thank you kay Joseph De La Cruz. Am I worried about this case? No. In the COMELEC, no. I think that it is too clear that dun sa first case sa petition for cancellation, hindi ako worried. Dun sa second, I don't see a reason why the intervention should be granted. Pero, yung nire-raise nilang issue about the NIRC is what we call a novel question. Bago to. So, malaki yung chance na maiakyat ito sa Korte Suprema. Personally, I would think na dapat stop na sila from raising this because it has been so long and nobody has sought to implement the decision. Plus, it is a criminal case. So, dapat hindi yan ina-allow. It's as though binubuksan nila uli yung kaso. Okay. Grabe, namin na naman cheering squad dito. Hinahanap ko yung cheering squad ni Baste Duterte. Nasaan na kayo? Bakit kayo nawawala? So, itong gusto ko. Go, Sarah. Thank you. Namimiss ko si Madam Inday. Ito, magtatampo na to si Joseph De La Cruz kasi parati daw siya nagpapadala, hindi natin na-acknowledge, guys. Pasalamat naman po tayo kay Joseph De La Cruz. Thank you very much for your super chat. Buhay na naman. Mapapakain na naman ako niyan. Ah, eto, sabi ni Jackson Mangalyay. Tama ba? Do you think Piduts is directly giving BBM a spotlight? Seems like all the past few days it's all about BBM. Doesn't matter if it's good publicity or not. Bad publicity is still publicity. Seems like Piduts is hitting BBM, and as an effect, all eyes are on BBM now. This is the same when he ran for presidency 5 years ago when it looked like he's destroying himself, but the more he seemingly destroyed himself, the more he was voted by the people. Well, for me, these questions are good. As long as we don't dismiss anything on what they look like on the surface. Mas maganda yung ganito na nagtatanong tayo. I have no answers. Kasi all our theories, provided they're grounded in fact, are valid. Shucks, mukha ako may double chin pagka nakatungo ako ng ganito. Sorry. I was distracted. Okay, ganito. It's elections and it's a Sunday, so we may as well talk about this. Um, Dahil election, there will be a lot of people competing for your attention. So you're correct na attention is one of the main ingredients for a candidate to win. Okay. Second, remember also that people will be vying for your attention and they will resort to a lot of different methods in order to gain that attention. Now, you have to notice not just what people say, but also what people don't say. Also, who are silent and who are talking. Di ba? Also, who is doing the talking for them. Now, as I posted dun sa Luminous, napansin lang namin na biglang gumulo ng early few days yung comment section namin. And it did not look like it was natural. Kasi kilala naman namin yung mga followers namin. Kahit 360 plus kayo, 370 plus. The regular people who post and the followers, meron silang, there's a certain voice. Okay, we recognize most of them kasi we always read the comments. Ngayon, there are some na pumasok na parang walang katuturan yung galit. And it has led me to believe after some, how do you call this, investigation and asking here and there, that some candidates may be using less than organic means of getting their message across. Now, there's nothing in the law against this that I can see, maliban sa mga data privacy and all that. Okay, yes, I get it. Um, but it's more like we just need to pay attention that the people who are begging for our attention should not also get uh, our decisive opinion. Diba? Maraming magpapapansin dahil hinihingi nila yung boto natin. Um, Tayo naman dapat ang nagpapaligaw. 'Di ba? Ilan beses lang 'to nangyayari. Every 3 years when our opinion counts. Pero if people will flood the news feeds and comments feeds with their opinion, it's as though we are being shut out again. So we must take a hard look at this and make sure na hindi tayo nagpapaloko or nagpapakonvince, hindi man loko siguro, hindi tayo nagpapakonvince dun sa mga artificially generated opinions. Okay. Ah, Teka, daming papasalamatan. Thank you kay Alpha Lahato for your super sticker. Ay, si Ma'am Annette Magno. Teka, bakit hindi ko nakita yung post ni Ma'am Annette? Ah, and Sir Jose Ilumin, thank you very much. Kailan po kaya natin malalaman ang desisyon ng COMELEC tungkol sa DQ ni BBM? Sabi ni Jose Ilumin. Wag naman po tayong atat masyado kasi hindi pa nga nasasagot ng panig ni BBM yung paratang, yung complaint. So bago makapag-aksyon ang COMELEC, kailangan marinig muna yung panig ni BBM. Sabi ni Russell, kung halimbawa po umabot sa Supreme Court, gaano po katagal bago mabigyan ng sagot kung DQ o hindi ang kaso, aabutin po kaya itong hanggang elections? Thanks po. Okay, first of all, hindi dapat tayo nababahala dyan kasi wala namang TRO. So, hindi po matatanggal sa pagkakandidato si BBM even if there is a disqualification case or cancellation of certificate of candidacy case against him. Okay? Bago yun umabot sa Korte Suprema, baka tapos na ang eleksyon. So, by the time it reaches the Supreme Court, di either nakaupo na siya or decided na tayo na hindi siya yung presidente natin. So, that case, it will be moot. Diba? So, wag po kayong mag-worry. It will happen when it happens. We cannot actually give you a timetable kasi iba-iba po ang bawat hukuman. Pero usually, it takes about, for any case, 6 months to 2 years for a normal case in the RTC. But the COMELEC has the obligation to move quickly on this one. But even if they move quickly, kung iakyat yan sa Korte Suprema, then that will be another so many months of waiting. It doesn't need to win the case in order to remain a candidate. Ang daming makulit sa aking comments feed. Hinahanap ko lang muna yung mga nag-super chat at nakakahiya. 'Di ba? Baka tinatampuhan na ako nitong mga to. Ito, thank you kay Jose Ilumin. Ay, what if ma-DQ si BBM? Sino ang pwedeng pumalit sa kanya? Well, ang magpapalit sa kanya has to be within the same party, Partido Federal. Sabi ni Richborn Galamay, I'm just surprised that there's not much dilawan putting BBM at the worst due to P. Duterte's accusations or voice out. I love what happened that everyone is now focused on Duterte and Marcos. Sabi sa inyo di ba? It isn't always what it seems to be. So I like that you're looking at it in these ways. Whether everybody who says the same thing is right or wrong, I cannot say. We will find out later on. Right now, all theories, as long as they're based on fact, are valid. Hi Ian, pakalmahin mo nga po ulit mga naiinis sa komento ni Par kay BBM. Till now, nilalaman pa din sila ng emosyon nila. Alright, let's deal with that. Now, the president said that did not name a person who's supposedly using drugs. A presidential aspirant who's supposedly using drugs. Ang daming biglang nag-come to the conclusion na ito ay si BBM. However, if you paid attention, BBM spokesman Attorney Vic Rodriguez said, we don't feel alluded to. So, hindi nila pinansin yung issue. Ito yung tanong, kung si BBM di nababahala, bakit kayo nababahala? The president did not bother to explain, but Senator Manny Pacquiao does have a history of drug use. And the president, apparently, if you watched the entire video, was referring to somebody from Davao. Ito yung, from what I understand, I might be wrong, but from what I understand, he wasn't referring to somebody from Luzon or anything like that. Okay? Pinangalanan ba niya? Sabi ni Mimi Vicini, pinangalanan niya. Sino daw ang sino at kailan kung pinangalanan niya. Now, here's the thing nga Para sa akin kasi, the moment na nagsalita si Attorney Vic Rodriguez, tumigil na ako. Kasi sabi nila, we don't feel alluded to. Tapos sinabi pa ni BBM, willing siya magpa-drug test. Parang siya lang ang nagsalita ng ganun, Dapat lahat magpa-drug test So anyway, para sa akin, okay na yun. Asked and answered, kumbaga. So, that's it. Why should there be an issue? So, tama si Ian. Bakit meron pang galit? Bakit, excited masyado tungkol dun sa issue, samantalang si BBM, relax na relax lang. So, that's why it's hard to believe that some of these reactions are organic. Kailangan, questionin natin, teka muna, kung kandidato mo si BBM, bakit parang di ka nakikinig sa spokes niya? Thank you kay Kiko Castro. Sabi niya, you will never reach your destination if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks. Churchill, this quote perfectly reflects how the Marcoses respond to every dog that barks at them. Alam mo, sanay na sila eh. Sorry, ang likot ng camera ko, hindi ako mapakali. Nakahiga kasi ako kanina. Alright, there you go. Ayan. Hindi ako makahiga. Ano ba to? Okay, anyway. Ayan. Okay na. So, ang ano ko nga dito is, chill na chill yung kandidato. Bakit ang daming hot na hot? Well, sometimes I think the people who act flourish but in favor of BBM are really not for BBM. They want people to get angry at BBM. Diba? Yung mga super hyper defensive kay BBM. Look, he supposedly scored very high in the last survey. Kung ang taas-taas niya and it looks like it's a done deal, who is afraid for BBM now? Diba? Ako, I wouldn't worry about what the president has said since BBM himself is not worried. Besides, for all you know, the president is testing something. Diba? Like I said, a lot of theories are going around, and as long as they're based on fact, all these theories are valid until we get something definite. Tinatanong ni Nurse Mark Echano, oh my gosh, I have a black cat. I can't see. Pwede ba gumawa ng batas or court rules like to give limits sa court, Korte Suprema, to decide on election-related cases? Meron po, 90 days dapat or something like that, 2 years. Meron po. Unfortunately, yung mga time limits for cases, mahirap i-enforce kasi ang daming kailangan gawin. So, minsan, it's more observed in the breach. Kasi kung rules of court yan, pero ang judge o yung mga final arbiters such as the Supreme Court hindi sumusunod, who is going to enforce it? Sabi ni Francis Cayetano, so pwedeng tumagal yung DQ case kay BBM, parang DQ case ni Lenny noong 2013. Yes, exactly like that. Diba? Follower po sa Middlemel Alcala. Follower po ako ni Coach Jarrett. Kaso parang di ginagatungan niya yung galit ng mga loyalista laban kay PRRD. What if hindi ginagatungan o ginagatungan niya? Kung hindi niya ginagatungan, edi mabuti. Kung ginagatungan, I think naman that we all have our own brains, except Lenny. Meron tayong capability to think for ourselves. So no matter what any of us say, any of the vloggers say, ultimately the decision to get angry, and it is a decision, will lie with you. Hi Ma'am Ilekara Araceli Moser. Hindi maiintindihan ng mga supporters bakit galit sila kay PRRD. Lalo na si Maharlika na sobra na yata. Well, like I said, I don't really like to comment on the opinions of other vloggers. Karapatan nila magpahayag, may karapatan sila sa kanilang mga opinion. Since meron din tayong karapatan sa opinion natin, hindi naman natin kailangan i-subscribe yung sinasabi nila. Hindi naman natin kailangan paniwalaan. Pwede naman we agree with some things and then disagree with other things, diba? Hindi naman perfect ang mga tao. Sometimes we will get it wrong. Other times we will get it right, and it's up to you to choose that. Yun yung real essence ng freedom of speech natin. We can supposedly say anything that we want, maliban lang dun sa mga libelous at saka other criminal acts. Pero in the end, diba? We can be right, we can be wrong, and it is up to the listener to make the decision on whether or not they're going to believe it. And kung kunwari hindi kayo agree dun sa ginagawa ng tao, then the nice thing about technology is this, it has an off button. And so we can either switch channels or turn the whole damn thing off. Ito, sir, sabi ni Sir Odi, hi Sir Odi, you're absolutely right. Why be bothered when the candidate himself is not? Yun na, di ba? Tignan mo si BBM, chill-chill lang. Sabi ni Shanghai Nerland, worst comes to worst. Pag umakyat yan sa Supreme Court, any decision from the Supreme Court will affect BBM's position. Halimbawa, president na siya. Well, it will depend. First of all, if the court will decide to interpret the decision of the Court of Appeals as saying that he is disqualified. So, it's or consider it written into the decision. Dun yung babagsak at babagsak. Did the decision of the Court of Appeals are reducing the charge against him to simply a failure to file a tax return, exclude the perpetual disqualification supposedly imposed by the National Internal Revenue Code. Or the Supreme Court can also say that uh, the Congress did not mean to include the failure to file a tax return, particularly in light of the fact that it is not a crime involving moral turpitude. Normally kasi yung perpetual disqualification ay dun sa mga crimes na ganon, may moral turpitude. Sabi ni Reynaldo Catalan, basta ako, ayaw ko lang magkaroon ng opening itong si Lenny Robredo. Baka kasi may control pa sila sa COMELEC. Well, see, the problem is the COMELEC is a constitutional body, so the president has no supervision or control over it. Technically, no party should have any. It's considered independent, and in fact, hindi pwedeng pakialaman ng Kongreso masyado ang kanilang budget. Ito, si C Brothers has an interesting opinion. Sabi niya, iba pananaw ko dyan, parang inilalabas na lahat ni PRRD ang lahat ng pwedeng ibato kay BBM pagka-presidente na siya. Tulad ng ginawa niyang pagkaupo niya bilang presidente. Also, a good theory. Ito, sabi ni Ma'am Marian Tamayo Padua, hashtag ignore PRRD, don't let them confuse or shake you. They are just politicians. We choose who will win these elections, vote for BBM all the way. Sabi ni Criselito Mahinay, Bongo is the only senator with a perfect attendance, 69 out of 69. He co-authored 18 laws, sponsored and co-sponsored 49 laws like Republic Act 11463, 1466, RA 11470, and many more. Sabi ni Ninhats, nakakalungkot na yung ibang vloggers parang ginagamit lang si PRRD pati para dumami ang followers nila. Ngayon, tablado na nila si PRRD. Sana hindi malimutan ang mga ginawa ni PRRD sa bansa. Binoto natin si PRRD dahil sa exhibit A niya, which is yung ginawa niya sa Davao. Well, that's true. Nalungkot din ako. That's why I took a short break. Pero, you know what? Tingin ko bugso ng damdamin yan. Or, meron kasing, feeling ko lang ha, and I have no evidence to back this up whatsoever, is that there's just so, no, actually I do have evidence to back this up. Forgot. Alright, remember a few months ago that a whistleblower came out sa FB. At sinabi ng whistleblower na ito na Facebook's algorithm actually encourages the hateful comments. And so, we get bombarded by it at parang napupuruhan tayo ng mga hateful comments regardless of which side they are on. So, that's why I was saying pay attention, kaya nanawagan din si Boss John at sa Karambola na on either side, whether it is BBM side or the president side, on either side, kailangan huminahon tayo because the Facebook algorithm will play it up and it is not good for our opinions as well as for our sanity. Kasi we don't get the real picture. What we get is an artificial bombardment of negative comments. So I really can't blame them, the other bloggers, if they are responding to this deluge of negative comments. Okay? Remember, tao din. And we cannot blame them sometimes because of how they're thinking right now. Because elections have always been emotional for the Filipino. Our politics are so personal to us. That's why we need to grow. We have to be more objective in choosing our candidates. Sorry, I have naglipat siya yung internet ko was is switching between PLDT and the other network, balik-balik eh. So I'll just switch to the other network para tuloy-tuloy. So, I don't think that we should be angry with any of the bloggers. I don't think we should be angry with anybody who posts a comment that we don't like. Maliban lang if they're doing this for purposes other than expressing their opinions. We can ask them not to do it in our spaces. Okay? Halimbawa, ako, I will block you if pinipilit mo sa akin yung kandidato mo. 'Di ba? Or meron kang pinipilit sa akin. You have no right to do that. But hindi kita kakasuhan unless libelous ka na, 'di ba? And it will take a lot for me to get up and file a libel case against you. It's election time at kailangan mahaba ang pasensya natin. And there will be people who will try their very best to get your attention and to keep that attention. And one of the easiest ways to do that is through negativity because these spikes of emotion they sell. The hate speech is far more entertaining than somebody who will just explain to you the law. So, no, just be careful out there. Be careful who we give our attention to and whose vote we are going to who we are going to entrust with our vote. Magpaligaw tayo. Huwag yung tayo yung parating nagdidepensa, 'di ba? Tama yung sinabi ng isang commenter dun sa wall ng Luminous. I apologize if I don't have your name right now. Sabi niya, wag wa every so often lang nangyayari ang eleksyon. This is the time when tayo yung hinahabol ng mga politiko. Magpahabol tayo, magpaligaw tayo, hindi yung para tayo pa yung kailangan mag-defend sa kanila. Let them speak for themselves. Maghain sila ng plataforma at programa nila sa atin at yun ang magiging basehan natin para sa ating mga desisyon. Eto, Rupert V. Isip says, I have nothing against Senator Go, pero sana naiisip niya na yung ambisyon niya tumakbo, si PRRD ay hinihila niya pababa. Kung talagang malaki respeto at pagmamahal kay PRRD, withdraw na siya. Sabi ni Ahmed, I'm not reacting on what PRRD is talking about. I know he's doing it on purpose maybe to test something. Sabi ni NBA 2K20, sa tingin niyo po, magaling pa rin si Estelito Mendoza kahit 91 years old na. I will not know that until I see him again or I can hear him argue again. Sa ngayon, I can only tell you what the history is, that he has always been an excellent lawyer. I understand that he's in his 90s, but JPE is also in his 90s and quite sharp. Yun ang maganda sa pagiging abogado, wala pong time limit yun eh. Unlike with doctors, unlike with surgeons, na after a while, manginginig na yung kamay mo, hindi ka na dapat nag-o-opera daw. Sabi ni Aris, Bakit kasi hindi naisip ng mga gumawa ng 87 Constitution na tama at kumpleto ang requirements sa mga tatakbong presidente na dapat may drug test, psych test, annual physical examination. Parang walang lusot at gap sa pagpili at paghalal ng politiko ko. Okay. The drug problem wasn't an issue yet noon. Psychological tests can be gamed. You can have somebody with absolute, somebody who's a, how do you call this? Yung sociopath will pass any psychological test or can pass some psychological tests, I apologize, annual physical examinations. I don't think that the Constitution was intended for those. It was only discussing the legal requirements, not the physical ones. Because normally, hindi tayo nagagawa ng physical requirements. Paano kung may disabilities or differently abled yung gustong tumakbo for office, baka hindi makapasa sa annual physical examination requirement. Sabi ni Review Senpai History Fan, bakit po nila sinisiraan si Bongo? Si PRRD naman nagsasalita, hindi si Bongo. Bakit sila galit? Ang dami nga inaitulong ni Bongo sa Pinas. Because they think it's a proxy fight. Ito, sabi ni Lou Alvin Campos, weird question lang, what if by May elections, nanalo na si PPM and then biglang decision ng Supreme Court at natalo siya sa petition case? Pwede ba niya i-pardon sarili niya bilang Pangulo? No, because it is precisely his being president that is at issue, di ba? So, pag sinabi ng Supreme Court na hindi siya presidente, he cannot pardon himself. He will have no power. Kasi you can only, kompletuhin natin, you can only give a pardon to a case that is final. Okay, to a person who has been, how do you call this, convicted with finality. Now, meron ring tinatawag na administrative pardon, but that's a little more complicated kasi hindi siya masyadong nagagamit dito. So, I'd like to point out, pardon usually applies only to criminal cases. But there is such a thing as an administrative pardon. I'm not sure if it applies in this jurisdiction. Balikan ko lang yung kay Arisa. Bakit hindi kasi naisip ng mga gumawa ng 87 Constitution? Ganito po kasi yon. In any time that we're creating a law, pikit lunok talon yan eh. Normally, we study everything, all the ramifications. Pero there's some things talaga that we cannot predict. That is why Congress has what we call an oversight function. Ibig sabihin, pag naipasa na yung batas, pwede pa silang mag-hearing para makita kung tama ba, naaayon ba dun sa batas yung pag-execute ng batas na yun. So, some things we cannot predict. We will institute a law and then hindi natin nakikita later on meron palang gaps yung law na yun. Sometimes the best laid plans or laws, they go awry. Guys, wag naman flooding. Marami pang isisiwalat si PRRD kay BBM. First, ill-gotten wealth of the Marcoses. Second, 10 counts of plunder case of his mother. Third, BBM was involved in PDAP scam Janet Lynn Napoles and Ben Hargoy, 205 million. I think that has been dismissed. Ill-gotten wealth of the Marcoses. There's no criminal, there's no criminal conviction for that one. Only a civil case. O civil cases, yung plunder cases, kay Mrs. Marcos yun, and they are all on appeal. Sabi ni Joseph de la Cruz, pero si Lenny pa rin dapat manalo ayon sa mga eksperto after COVID next na zombies. At si Lenny lang di kakainin ng mga zombies. I think PRRD is giving BBM a favor. sabi ni Leonidas Sid Garson, apektado lang ng batas ang public servants. 1986, civilian ang si BBM. Dissolved na ang Marcos government per Supreme Court. Okay. But the time of the commission of the crime po ang tinitignan. Hindi po yung time na nag-issue ng decision yung court. Okay. Uy. Um, Sabi ni Argeline, parang bata ka pa Argeline. Kulelat sa survey si Bongo, pang-apat, hindi na makaahon at makabangon, nasa kumunoy siya, di na siya makatakos, BBM Sara, tandem ang malakas. Okay. Sure. Sabi ni Ma'am Nilda, supporter ako ni PRRD, so kung sino i-endorse niya doon ako dahil alam ko para sa kabutihan at subok na ang gusto niya mahalal na Pangulo. I have nothing against BBM. Okay. Ang dami na kasi nagre-reklamo about the electric fan kasi it's really too hot. And my cat is in the room. My cat is sick and hindi po siya pwede mag-aircon. So, I suppose okay na tayo, no? Almost an hour na rin tayo. So, just to wrap up, para hindi na kayo nababother dun sa sound ng electric fan, it's really hot in my room. I-recap lang po natin. Yung issue na nire-raise ng bagong petition with the COMELEC is this. According to the NIRC, any conviction of or any violation that results in a conviction of a violation of the NIRC that results in a conviction will carry with it, the penalty carries with it perpetual disqualification. And therefore, the BBM materially misrepresented himself daw or should be disqualified because he is no longer he no longer has the political right to run for office due to that conviction. Okay. So, maraming salamat sa lahat ng sumabaybay dito sa sa live natin ngayon. I apologize kung maingay po yung ating electric fan. I'm sorry that it bothers you. But kasi mahirap na nagla-live tayo tapos hindi niyo rin pala ako naiintindihan. So, maraming salamat. Ito last. Is character assassination or fake news allowed in presidential election campaign? Like PRRD's relentless attacks against BBM now, how low can one go to this kind of hatred? Okay, Robert, first I'd like to point out that the character assassination or fake news, I don't think, first of all, on the drug issue, PRRD did not mention a name and BBM says he was not alluded to. He did not feel alluded to. So why would you consider this character assassination if the target himself doesn't feel that he has been targeted? Okay. Now, you also use the term relentless when actually we're only talking about 2 times when the president has spoken. I hardly consider that relentless. So you're going to have to be a lot more objective here if you want to, if you're going to stray into legal territory. Now, I think the more appropriate question is this libelous? Now, there's no time period for libel. Meaning it can be done even during elections. Hindi komot election, mas relaxed na yung rules natin. But only the person who allegedly has been libeled has the capacity or the personality to file a case, which goes back again to the BBM's reaction. If BBM is chill about this and isn't alluded to, then there is not only no character assassination, fake news are even lighter. Okay? Okay. Ah, maraming salamat sa lahat ng sumubaybay on this chill lang tayo dapat Sunday. Thank you very much to everybody who joined, lalong-lalo na yung mga nagpa-super chat at saka nagpa-super stickers. Okay. Last. Naku, si Pesto. Late ka kasi, Pesto. Sabi niya, ang ganda ng profile pic mo, by the way. My favorite, Pesto. Anyway, kung pwede daw i-discuss yung possible DQ against Rafi Tulfo because of moral turpitude. Okay pa ba kayo if I discuss this? Kasi naiingayan sila sa electric fan eh. Hmm, Eto, one last. Victor Tadeo says hindi daw sila ang sinasabi ni PRRD. Okay, dun sa si si ano ba to? Si Rafi Tulfo may complaint for the cancellation of a certificate of candidacy filed by his wife, supposedly. Sabi nung wife niya, material misrepresentation daw yung sinabi niya na wala siyang asawa. I'm not sure if that would be considered material misrepresentation. Kasi it does not go into his capacity to be elected or even to vote. Hindi po relevant yung civil status ng isang tao kung ito ay single or married or contested yung kanyang civil status. Okay? Maraming salamat sa pagsubaybay sa Karambola. Sa Luminous Live ngayong Sunday, chill lang po tayo. And go Inday. Maraming salamat uli with also thank you for all of your comments, thank you for all of your your theories kasi kahit ako nabubuksan din yung isip ko at other possibilities. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Chill lang tayo. Let's not get carried away by everything that we read on the internet and especially on social media. Hindi po lahat ng nasasabi dyan ay totoo at hindi rin naman po lahat ay kailangan angasan natin. Okay? Hinay-hinay sa lahat. Thank you very much. Have a chill Sunday.